So we are live. I'm Andy Williams, and this is my Curiously Creative Substack. And I've been doing a live hangouts every Friday lunchtime with some of my contacts and some colleagues or people that I'm interested or inspired by. And today we are joined by Joseph Young. Hi, Joseph. How you doing?
Hello, hi, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's great, and thanks for joining us. And so, just to kick us off, could you just give give us a brief introduction as to what you do?
My name is Joseph Spencer Young, and I'm a animation and visual effects producer. I'm currently working at Compost Creative. We're a small sort of company that primarily works on creating animated and visual effects content for mostly documentary work, but we expand into title sequences and video game trailers and all sorts of cinematic content.
Wow, very cool. And could you just to kind of one of the things I ask our guests is to give us their creative or production origin story. So the moment that the radioactive spider crawled along your arm and kind of and bit you
Yeah.
and turned you into the creative superhero that you are. So what would yours be?
Mine's a very strange is a very interesting one. I've kind of always wanted to be in the animation industry ever since I was a kid, really. Um, it started off like just growing up with like old VHS tapes of like stop motion children's shows from the 1970s.
Right.
So a lot of like Larry the Lamb in Toy Town, a lot of the Clangers, Bagpuss, that kind of stuff. Like my parents
Amazing.
just had all these old VHS tapes, and that kind of got me hooked in the stop motion world. And then I ended up watching Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers at like age 5, and just
Right.
being completely hooked on it. And I was just like, from that moment on, I was very much like, I want to, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. As a like, and that kind of sparked something in me. And then it wasn't, but I always thought that it was so difficult. It's like I don't have a camera. I don't have any of these like big budget product like materials to like make this stuff. And then when I was about 8 years old, YouTube had just like kind of started, and I saw what I did see was a lot of stop motion being done with Lego, and
Right.
one of the big ones being a film called The Magic Tunnel, which is one of the sort of oldest sort of Lego animated films. The whole thing is shot on 16 millimeter film, um, and that is like a 20-minute epic essentially.
Wow.
And it's absolutely great. You can find it online. If you've never seen it before, I recommend you check it out because it's one of the oldest Lego movies ever made, and it's absolutely brilliant. But
Amazing.
I went from there, and I just sort of thought, oh, if people are making stuff with Lego bricks, why can't I? And so I did a bit of research, got myself a cheap webcam from
Right.
Curry's, and just started making animated like little Lego stop motion films, like just from the age of 8, and like it became a bit of a family event. So every Christmas, me and my cousin would show off the film. Like we'd make these 10-minute epics with
Right.
what we had, and they were all like kind of, and we'd show them every Christmas. And what was quite nice is whenever like the family got together during like Easter or anything like that, we'd always have like a little trailer just to like kind of build
Amazing.
up. And so yeah, and we did that for a few years, and that kind of I got the bug then, and so I was like, oh, I really want to be an animator and do that. And so I ended up I realized though, as I got into sort of becoming a teenager, stop motion at the time was going the way of the dodo, and
Right.
which I felt was a great shame. But everything was going more towards CG, and
Right.
so I ended up, when I was in college, I left school at 16, and I went to a media college and studied media production. At the time, there wasn't any kind of courses specific for animation or the arts, and I just thought, okay, film and TV, media production, I can kind of use that as a way to kind of experiment on my own stuff. And one of the things I ended up doing whilst I was there was one of the tasks had to do was you had to make your own music video. And
Right.
so I was like, I was the only one that did this, and I was like, I'm gonna make a fully CG animated music video as my way
Great.
to kind of learn like 3D and like learn. And so I installed like a student license of Autodesk Maya on a cheap laptop. Um, and then what we ended up doing was it was to Queen's I Want to Break Free. And the concept was basically this robot trying to escape a science lab. And so we did a bit of how I ended up learning a bit of, I had to learn how to like animate this like realistic robot character. And on top of that, to help with it, I started experimenting with motion capture. And so my friend at the time had like an Xbox like Connect.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we hooked that up and like used a bit of third-party software and basically made our own sort of motion capture studio. Um,
Amazing.
and that was really fun. And it just went on from there. And so I then went to I then ended up going to university. I studied 3D animation over at Ravensbourne down in North Greenwich. So I was there for 3 years and just sort of making stuff. And then I once I did that, I'd graduated. And I just at the time, the as it always is when you graduate, the job market is not great.
Mm.
And so it's a hard industry to get into. And so I ended up like I interned at a few places. I ended up and what got me into the production world, weirdly enough, was one summer I ended up interning at Hit. Back then
Right.
it was Hit Entertainment. With the I ended up getting to know the lead producer there, Ian McHugh, and I basically went there for like a week of like work experience, and he kind of showed me the whole production pipeline of at the time, which was the CG version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Right.
And so I got to experience like all the storyboarding, all the review stages, and more of like stuff on a producer level, such as like attending like voice record sessions. And that got me really interested as well because I
So you
saw
got
that.
a top-down view on how all of the bits sort of click together.
Yeah, I got,
And
yeah,
then
basically,
that's
yeah.
sort of what you, so that's kind of your job now, isn't it? In some ways,
Yeah, it kind of it like
you kind of have an overview of how the pipeline works.
exactly. And it gave me like such a huge insight. At the time though, like I was still kind of freelance. I was sort of freelance animating, and so I did a lot of motion design and 2D animation for various like people such as Pernod Ricard, Absolute, like Volker. I did a lot of like advertising work, and so a lot of my stuff, like animated content that I've done, is still out there today in like various airports. There's the
Right.
very first like freelance job I ever did is was a big animated London skyline, and
Yeah.
it's for Gatwick Airport's duty free lounge. It's still there. It's still there
How
to this
funny.
day. How they've not updated it, I don't know, because I look at it now and I'm just like appalled by it. But
And
but
in
yeah,
terms of
and
like more recent work that you've been involved in, what are the highlights that you'd kind of pick out?
yeah, oh, the highlights. Oh God. I've done like where I'm at the moment and like in my current career, like as going from artist to producer, has been like a game changer really. And like the very first thing that I got to work on, like from a production point of view, was the Headspace animated series on Netflix. That's on
Right.
Netflix. I got to work on that. To produce to help sort of I was a production coordinator at the time, and I helped coordinate a few episodes. We were doing a few episodes,
And the
and we had to.
Headspace animation it's quite it's kind of very design based, isn't it? It's kind of
Yeah,
unmodulated colors.
yeah,
It kind of reminds me in some ways of something like Hey Dougie in terms of the look? Do you
The
think that's
app,
fair?
yeah, it's an interesting one with this because the app definitely, the Headspace app and the animation
Yeah.
content in that is, but with the Netflix show, they wanted to take it in a different direction. And
Right.
so it's very kind of mixed media, like
Okay.
very heavily stylized. And almost sort of collage-esque.
Right. Okay.
And that was like a really exciting challenge, to kind of show off the history of we had like the founder of Headspace narrating it, and it's sort of the history of meditation and like his journey, and then it ends with like a 15-20 minute kind of like meditation like guidance
Right.
lesson that
So
he does.
yeah.
So that was quite interesting to do. And then a few other things like finishing that, like I've done, you can find my IMDb, like I've done so much stuff like over the years now, like the 6 years I've been here, it's been crazy. The one of the biggest things that I'm most proud of, that I had the opportunity to do, when did we finish it? We finished it kind of 2024, I believe, and
Right.
which is, it came out last year, which is a film called Buy Now, The
Okay.
Shopping Conspiracy, which is also on Netflix, and that is that is like an expose documentary about how much we waste and how much
Right.
companies waste. And it's a sort of anti-capitalist, anti-consumerism documentary. And what was really fun about that particular project and getting to produce the animation and visual effects for it is that we had known the director for that documentary for a while, and what was great about it was that he kind of gave us free reign. He
Yep.
basically was very much like, we got the opportunity to, in the film there's various shots of New York, London, and Ghana and all sorts of places, and basically we used a lot of simulations and like filled the streets up with rubbish,
Right.
and like made it quite poppy and colorful and stylized, and in addition to that, like the director kind of gave us free reign. He basically shot a load of stuff and basically said, here's all the footage, do what you want with it, and we'll just use what you give us, and which we
Right.
thought was great. But what was really, really fun that I got to have a bit of a hand in was the animation. One of the interviewees in this documentary is a woman called Maren, who was a high up Amazon exec,
Right.
that became a bit of a whistleblower, because she realized the sort of harmful stuff that at the time the Amazon Corporation was doing, and so she kind of like blew the whistle and sort of fought back again, and so they got rid of her, and so we tell her story through hand drawn 2D animation, and
Right.
we've got, and it has like a really nice frame by frame like sort of cell animated like sort of 360-degree like camera moment as she's kind of
Lovely.
working at her desk and the world is changing around her. But it was really nice for, because when people look at documentaries, you think, oh, there's no animation in there, or
Hmm.
there's no visual effects work in there. It's just people talking to a camera, or they think of like Attenborough and like seeing like nature and
Yep.
that kind of thing. And it's more, they feel like it's more true to life. And what's quite lovely now, especially in the streaming world, is that a lot of documentaries want to stand out a bit and they're using animation to do so. And
Right.
that's what's been an absolute joy to do, really.
Right. And do you find that are most of your clients North America based, or are they in Europe, or where's that kind of center
They're
of
all over
business?
the shop, really. A lot of our clientele is usually UK based and
Right.
sort of and London based. Just that's happened to be where a lot of the production companies are. However, we've had the opportunity to work with a lot of American clients in New York and Los Angeles. Partly just, yeah, because when you're working with these big streamers, like you
And
expect to like have communication with the States quite a lot of the time.
yeah, and so the companies you're working for, are they often the kind of production companies that are making stuff for Netflix? How much do or how does that operate? Do you kind of uh, is everyone involved in terms of feeding their opinion, or you're having to kind of balance a lot of stakeholders in terms of trying
Yeah,
to
it
reflect that in the
can.
work?
Yeah, it's a very much a project by project basis. Sometimes we've had it where the streamer has come to us directly, and we're what's quite nice is like we're sort of on like a list of like their trusted suppliers.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time they'll approach us and ask us to pitch or put our ideas forward on something. Sometimes we've worked with someone before and like a director before, and they've put our name forward, and we get innings from that. The most common thing is usually a production company will be making a production for they'll have a production deal for like Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, and so they'll be like quite far into kind of in most cases they're usually quite far into the edit, and so that's when they start thinking about sort of graphics and animation and visual effects work. And so a lot of the time we get brought on just in like just as the edit is like sort of go like moving forward, and
Yep.
so um yeah, we get approached that way really.
Right. And looking forward, what are the projects that you're involved with, you're excited about?
Mm.
Are there any personal projects that you've got in development that you're kind of working on?
Yeah, there's a few.
What's in store?
There's a lot of things at the moment. Annoyingly, there's a lot that I can't talk about. That I'm really excited for when it finally comes out. There's been some stuff recently that we've done with both Netflix and Disney that are gonna be, I think they're gonna be really, really interesting and sort of like eye-opening, especially in the documentary space.
Right.
We're also we do a lot of video game trailer stuff at the moment, and we're wrapping up on a very big trailer at the moment for quite a big IP that's coming out, and so that's gonna
And
come
your
out sort of
and
soon.
your involvement on that, does it is it character-based animation? Is it more effects driven?
It's
Um,
completely character based. So this one is a quite unique in that we're doing a combination of animation using normal animation like Pipeline in Maya and that kind of stuff, but also we're using real time stuff within a video game engine. So we're
right.
using Unreal Engine to help push a few things forward, and that's been quite an experiment. And so yeah, that stuff is like there's a lot of stuff coming up in the pipeline that I've been have the pleasure to be involved in. That's going to be really exciting when that comes out. One of the things that's recently just come out that I've been quite excited for is a documentary on that's now on BBC iPlayer called "The Mother of All Cons,"
Right.
and it's about the Believe in Magic charity scandal that happened a few years ago. And so we came on board quite late on, but we basically recreated over 100 sort of social media graphical shots.
Right.
So we had to basically rebuild Facebook and Twitter and all these and WhatsApp and all this stuff from the time period, and like recreate all of the conversations and messages and stuff that happened over the course of like this scandal. And so there's a lot of information in that, and so we had a very short amount of time to do it, but it honestly looks absolutely stunning, and it's been great seeing all of the sort of the reception that's been received from
Great.
that, and so that's been really fun. um
And that's
I've
out on Netflix
yeah,
at the moment.
yeah, so that's
Sorry,
now
on the
out on
iPlayer
BBC
at the moment.
iPlayer, yeah, so
Yeah.
you can go watch that now on iPlayer.
The mother of all
um
cons.
yeah, The Mother of All Cons.
Right.
And yeah, in terms of personal projects, I've got a few things sort of kicking off in the background at the moment. I've been the last like couple of years or so, I've been sort of pitching some original IP.
Mm.
I'm trying to, I've been looking at on the side, like I've been looking at like I like to sort of try and do a bit of consultancy and like kind of push more into like sort of family orientated animation, as I found that in the last few years, especially in like children's television and television animation, the sort of family shows that I grew up
Yeah.
with that for like the family unit don't exist anymore. And I
Right.
think a lot of it's now just sort of now the main focus is either preschool or like really heavy adult animation, and so there's no middle ground, and I think that's a shame really. And so I've got a few things. I've got a few things in early development that I'm sort of trying to push forward, and my hope is to kind of get it out there, sort of around that, like sort of this time next year, really.
Great. Great. Okay, well, that sounds like a good place to end it on. We're coming up to our 20 minutes block. And yeah, if you get, it might be nice for us to kind of almost sort of redo this conversation in a year or so's time,
Yeah.
and see where you are with the personal series as well.
Yeah, no, I look forward to revealing more in due time.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thanks very much for that, Joseph.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me on, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, that's great. See you later.
See you later.